Okay then, so moving on to sort of the middle section of a course. So we've obviously covered, the first impressions, the beginning, the initial assessment, the icebreakers. So now we're talking about the bulk of the course, the middle part, and sort of factors that we think keep it going throughout the day, keeps it on track, and I guess keeps it effective in terms of learning for our delegates and that. So first one we've got on here, I think one of mine is pace. So the pace of the lesson is obviously quite important, of the actual training course itself. You've obviously got a syllabus that you've got to get through. Say if it's a one-day first aid course, for example, you know all the content you've got to get through. So you'd have your lesson plan, and you'd have an awareness of where you should be at the various points throughout the day. That doesn't mean to say you can't deviate from it, and I think you have to have an awareness sometimes of your actual group, and the ability and the experience within the group, and the differentiation sometimes within a group in terms of experiences and abilities. So sometimes you might have to adapt your time and your pace a bit if you need to spend a little bit of extra time with some learners to support them, or it could be you've got a really able group and sometimes you can sort of go at a faster pace, and maybe you can have some extension tasks and challenge them and push them. So I think I think it's also one of the more tricky things when you first start teaching or training to know. Okay, you've had a look at your resources, you've got your lesson. How do you know what an hour's worth of content is? And that does come with experience and practice. And I think sometimes when you start out, it's quite good to have maybe some reserve activities in case you do get through things quicker. I remember back in the day when I first started in the college, I think I delivered an entire sports nutrition specification in the space of 3 hours, and these poor students were sitting in front of me thinking, have we arrived at university? So that was obviously a steep learning curve for myself. So it does come with practice. Sometimes people, if you're new as well, if you're a bit nervous, you can go at a million miles an hour. We see that in micro teachers on the level 3 AET assessments. So it's just having an awareness of it, really having an eye on the clock and where you should be at various times, and just keeping an eye on that. I think it's quite an important part of your training day, and making sure you meet the course objectives and the content that's in hand, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the key things is to really sort of look at your learners, to kind of read the room and to look at their body language again, so you can see whether you're teaching too quickly, too slowly. Are you at the right pace? Looking at the way that they are in terms of their focus, their energy levels.
Yeah, their understanding.
So I think that is an important factor when we consider pace. Is really just making sure that you're checking in with your learners, asking them questions, of course. But I think it's really key to really sort of just have a look at your learners, look at their body language, as mentioned, and we can see whether or not we can speed up or slow down.
Yeah, I find it's even more important for first aid, because it's so sort of time sensitive, isn't it, when you're teaching it?
Of course.
You've got one day, it has to last 6 hours. So even now, I do find I'll get to a point in the day and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm here already. Then you have to bring other stuff in, and it can be hard because learners obviously like different topics as well. They enjoy more, using the AED, for example. Everybody really likes doing that. So it's hard to, you've got to be wary that you're not, spending too much time on one thing and zooming through something else, which is equally as important.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, good. Ongoing assessment. Whose idea was that one?
That was myself. So ongoing or formative assessment, I think, is absolutely key. So this is very much checking in with your learners to make sure that what they are learning is correct. Are they taking in? Are they retaining the information that you are teaching them? So typical methods could be nominated and open questions, peer support. So it could be group work, paired work, any activities such as presentations. So you're really just checking that they're on the right track. So again, we talk about pace and what you're teaching. Is it being retained? Is it being refreshed? So I think by having a range of activities, formative, within your lessons are really, really crucial. So you can keep that sort of two-way interaction going. They're on the right track. You feel more reassured as a teacher, and they're not going to get bored if we've got ongoing assessment constantly within a lesson. I think that's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, assessment underpins any good trainer, to be honest. I mean, obviously we talk about it on the teacher training courses we do, and yeah, you should have an awareness of people's ability quite quickly on a course, just because you're just for your own sort of keenness, and you're watching the group and you can see who's more able and who needs extra support, and you have lots of tools to do that. I always give the example of back at school, my history teacher, where all you did for an hour was you went around the class reading a paragraph from a textbook.
Of course.
You got to the end of the lesson, that teacher has no idea whether people have understood. It's fine for read, write learners, that's absolutely fine, but for people that don't learn in that way, and that it's, well, I guess that's another factor, but the fact is you would have no idea as a trainer or a teacher if you don't actually use tools. And it can be as simple as observing the group when you do group tasks and seeing how people are getting on, particularly if it's practicals. But there's so many sort of tools and elements you can use to check that people are following you and understanding you. And obviously saying to everyone, does everyone get that? And people say yes, that doesn't necessarily mean they do. So you've got to obviously find that out for yourself.
Yeah, they're really easy to incorporate. They can be really informal as well. We always say at the beginning of first aid courses that there's going to be ongoing practical assessment, and then everyone in the room looks a bit worried by it, but because they can be quite informal, quite easy to implement, you can just do them regularly, and it's not putting the learners under immense amounts of stress and pressure as well as you go through the day.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, good.
Energy and variation was myself. So yeah, the middle of the lesson.
Star jumps.
Yeah, coffee on hand, I think, is a good one. It's the time when people's attention might dip, isn't it? Middle around lunchtime. So one thing is a simple thing, really important, is obviously making sure they're having a break. A lot of learners, if they, especially in first aid, maybe they might think, cut the lunch break short and we'll finish early. But you do that, and then the concentration will definitely dip afterwards. So making sure that break is in there so their energy levels are high. And keeping things interesting, really. Looking out for, as we said about pace, looking out for where learners might be starting to drift off, starting to lack concentration, looking out for anyone yawning. That sort of stuff. And if you notice any of those signs, you just bringing in some more practical activities, mixing it up, trying more games.
Having a varied teaching style obviously helps with that and different approaches. So even if a topic is quite PowerPoint heavy, quite theoretical sort of lecture style, then obviously having an awareness of that and having an activity built into that. Where you can freshen things up,
and maybe doing that after a break or doing that in the morning.
Even teaching over at Heathrow Airport yesterday with a group, I noticed in the afternoon, that people were starting to wheel. It's very hot in the room. Obviously, listening to me for a long time can send people to sleep. Hopefully not, but I didn't plan to actually do a break before moving on to like the micro teach section yesterday, but just because of the reading the room read, I said, okay, everyone get up, stretch your legs, have 5 minutes, and then we'll watch a video on a previous micro teach and that, because I was thinking if I put this straight on now, people are going to start sliding down their chairs. So it's just having a sort of an awareness of it, and we're very aware of it when we design our courses and we do our lesson plans for all the trainers and that. We do try and consider that and have different activities going on and sort of practice what we preach, if you like.
I think it's just for teachers, it's having that confidence to deviate from the lesson plan. So you're making a judgment call, you're having that confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to switch up this activity, I'm going to change round the structure for the good of my learners. And I think your learners will appreciate that. So don't feel you have to force an activity if it's not going to work. The learners are key. Their sort of focus, attention, their health. At the end of the day, they're the ones there. So just having the confidence to kind of switch up an activity, you still will cover the content eventually, maybe in a different sort of section of the course. But just having the confidence to
being adaptable.
change, to be adaptable, absolutely.
Okay, good. Group dynamics, I believe that's my one. So when we say group dynamics, I guess we're talking about the different personalities within a group that you're teaching. Sometimes, we were talking earlier at the beginning, when we were talking about the beginning of the class, icebreakers, initial assessments, you sort of get to know personalities quite early on. Normally, you'd see straight away the more extroverted people that are going to be louder, that are talking, maybe the quieter ones that aren't going to be as confident speaking up. You can get personality clashes on courses. When we run the open public courses, you could have 12 people who never met each other before, and sometimes early on you see you've got a bit of a clash, so maybe sort of managing that yourself when it comes to sort of group work. And I think it's good when you're doing sort of group work and that within a course to sometimes choose the groups yourselves, because once you get to know your learners, who's going to work well with each other, there might be times where you think, right, I'm going to keep those people apart. I mean, it's not saying it's that often, but it is something to consider. And so you're trying to build rapport, aren't you? And so, and sometimes as well with your groups, rotating the groups. If you've got a whole day's training and you keep putting people in threes, for example, you've got 9 learners, don't let it be the same 3 people all day long. If you do it 5 or 6 times, split them up, get them merging round. Also, we've talked in the past about you could have an open course, but 5 or 6 people could turn up from the same company. On the course. And if you allow them to stay in there 5 or 6, and then it's almost us and them with the rest of the group. So trying to integrate them and split them up. And you're quite, at the beginning, you can say, right, okay, I want to split you up. There's nothing wrong with that. You guys already know each other. Listen, I'd often say with the icebreaker, if people already know each other, okay, please, can you say it's in pairs, can you get with someone you didn't know before today? And I think that helps building rapport, getting interaction. And you should have an idea of the group, but unless you're a lazy trainer and you're not interested in your learners, and that's obviously step back, you're not going to get to know people. But if you're keen, you're enthusiastic, and you get in there, then you get a feel for it, and you can mould the group dynamics and help sort of build sort of relationships within the group.
I think with group dynamics, I think I tend to try to adopt a team approach, that we are all going through this qualification together. You're going to help each other, you're going to lean on each other. Everyone's got their different strengths, areas for development. That's absolutely key. But why not support each other? So trying to adopt a team approach, a team mentality. So hopefully there's going to be that sort of buy-in. We're all in this together. We're going to go through the qualification, hopefully pass the qualification together. But I think try to adopt that approach if we can, a sort of team mentality.
Yeah, with first aid, that can be quite easily done when you've got learners of different abilities. So some learners who've done many first aid courses before, some learners that haven't. So not making sure you haven't just got one group of really competent people and then one group of people who don't really know what they're doing. Mix them up a bit so they can help them learn from each other.
That's really key. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Learner involvement, learner voice, is that one of yours, Nick?
100%. So I think it's really good to empower your learners so they have a voice, they have choice. I think when it comes to the formative assessment, I tend to get my learners to do presentations so they can come up with their own thoughts, their own ideas, but giving them opportunities to speak, to present, to stand up, to be in front of the class, to hopefully to build their confidence, their self-esteem, their independence, to hopefully to mould them into future teachers, trainers, decision makers. But I like my lessons to give the learner the voice, but also when it comes to things such as like, when are we going to take a break? It's on them. They have the choice. They've got the control.
As long as they don't want a 2-hour lunch.
Exactly that. But hopefully to empower learners, I think it gives them that sense of responsibility, which I do think most people enjoy. Having that choice, that input.
And informally, you could, once you get to know your learners, you could ask them how they found various topics or activities, because you're always looking for feedback, aren't you, on your sort of teaching resources and style as well. So I think that comes when I was if you're in the college and teaching students over a year, then you get that sort of interaction. They'll let you know if they think maybe a a subject or an approach you used maybe wasn't as good.
Best,
but yeah, you want interaction, you want inclusion. Obviously, it's easy to get some people interacting and involved more than others. But yeah, I think you want to create just that approachable sort of environment where people feel like they can get involved, particularly when you're teaching adults like we are most of the time, is because you're essentially facilitating. And you can draw on a lot of adults, previous experiences and knowledge. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. Any sort of teaching courses I've been on as a learner, they've always been my favourite bits. When you get to use your own knowledge, you get something right, or your own input, you get a little bit of a buzz, and it motivates you, keeps you, as we said earlier, keeps you engaged, keeps the energy up. So yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got one more on this section, which is. Fun and competitive. Is that one of yours?
That's me. Yeah. So yeah, it goes quite well with keeping the energy up. Keeping variation there. So competitiveness within a learning environment, it does have its place. I think friendly competition, because we obviously want to push the learners, don't we? And we want to. We want them to work hard, and if you're working against others, you're gonna strive for better. I think.
Yeah, I particularly like it when they're in groups because then they're sort of you're promoting teamwork as well, aren't you?
And then keeping it fun as well. That's quite an easy one to do in first aid because you can always incorporate loads of different games. But yeah, keeping it fun is really important. I think learners benefit a lot when there's something that they can really enjoy. I think people remember stuff more when they're actually having fun and they're enjoying it. Rather than just.
Well, a lot of these points overlap, don't they? So when we're talking about variation earlier and having varied styles and that is part of it, isn't it? You don't want it to be lecture style all day. You want it to be not just you talking, get them interacting.
Of course.
You can find this. It's fantastic now, isn't it? YouTube for little clips and stuff. Little anecdotes. You can really. There's so much opportunity now if as long as you obviously take that bit of time and that to and sharing good practice amongst each other. It's also when you're teaching on the AET, you watch. I've sat through hundreds of micro teachers over the years, and someone you could be watching 15 minutes and think, oh, that's a good element. It doesn't need to be your subject to think, oh, I could maybe embed that, within our course and we, obviously like embracing sort of tech and that these days. There's so many apps and things you can use, and sort of trying to bring them and keep it fresh, I guess, isn't it, as well within what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I think getting learners to use their mobile phones, promoting digital skills. If we use website apps such as Socrative or Kahoots, they're Mentimeter. They're really fun, really engaging, and learners can be work individual or within sort of small groups as well. And having things like team names could be a bit silly, but they're fun, they're engaging. You could even give out prizes. That's optional, of course. But it really does help the engagement side with the lesson. Yeah.
I think people are always quite surprised when they come on a first aid course that it is actually fun, because it is obviously a really heavy topic you're talking about most of the time. So if you can insert some joy in there, then it's all the better for it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, some great points there. Hopefully you've enjoyed listening to our thoughts on there for our sort of the middle section, if you like, the bulk of the course. So yeah, excellent. Thanks, guys.